Everyone, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by the International Society for the Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect in partnership with the Global Partnership to End Violence. We thank you so much for joining us today and appreciate all you're doing to help children during this challenging time. As part of the Together to End Violence Summit series, the Global Partnership is working with its partners and national coalitions to amplify its impact through affiliated events around the world. They are encouraging all partners, no matter their size, to join the movement by hosting an affiliate event or initiative. In this webinar today, Sabine Rakatomalala and Andrew Hassett of the Global Partnership will walk you through the Do-It-Yourself Toolkit, which contains resources, information, and sample materials to create an affiliate event and engage in an interactive discussion with you on what we can do together at the country and national levels to end violence against children. So right now I have everyone on mute to avoid background noise. We welcome you to please enter your questions and comments in the questions box throughout the presentation. Sabine and Andrew will respond to questions and comments at the end as time permits. The recording and slides will also be posted on the ISPCAN website for limited time after the webinar. They will then be archived and available for members only. Before we get started today, I'd like to introduce our speakers. Sabine Rakatomalala has been leading the work on country engagement for the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children since 2016, bringing together key partners from different sectors around the prevention of violence against children, also supporting pathfinding countries in their efforts to scale up violence prevention efforts, ensuring the dissemination and implementation of the INSPIRE strategies, raising funds for the sector, and supporting the executive committee. She previously worked with WHO, Terre des Hommes, and UNICEF in different capacities involving child protection and violence against children. And Andrew Hassett is Director of Communications and Advocacy for the Global Partnership and is a passionate child rights and international development leader with more than 20 years of experience leading teams in the areas of strategy, advocacy, campaigns, policy, communications, and marketing. He previously worked at World Vision International, leading advocacy campaigns in the areas of child health and ending violence against children across 70 countries. Andrew has also led global and national coalition campaigns in support of the Sustainable Development Goals and was co-convener of the Make Poverty History campaign in Australia. What is needed most to end violence against children? Is the question, and please select two answers here. Okay, and let me show the responses there. As you can see, 63% better implementation of existing plans, followed by political leadership, more funding, and better evidence and data. Okay, thank you for that. And here's the second part. Same question with a few different answers. Okay, and the results there, 78% better collaboration, followed by 50% elevating the voices of children. Great, thank you. And we have one more question. This one is about the areas of violence that you are working in. So please select one. Sorry if your area of violence is not represented here. Okay, looks like most selected all forms of violence, followed by violence in the home. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for your answers. So now we're ready to begin the presentation. Sabine and Andrew, thank you so much for being with us today, and I will turn it over to Sabine.
Hi, I hope everyone can see me. My name is Sabine Rakotomala, and Andrew, maybe you can just put on your video for 1 second as well. We just want to introduce ourselves. I'm called Sabine Rakotomala. I work for the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children, and I'm based in the World Health Organization in Geneva. And my colleague Andrew is in UNICEF in New York. Well, actually, we're all from home now. But over to you, Andrew. Andrew, do you want to just...
Thanks, Sabine, and wonderful to be with you all as we look ahead to 2021. My name's Andrew Hassett. I'm the Director of Communications and Advocacy at the End Violence Partnership, which is a partnership made up of 500 different organisations representing each continent of the world. Thanks. Back to you, Sabine.
All right. Hopefully everybody can see my screen now. Heather, do you see my screen?
Yes, looks great. Thank you.
All right. All right. So as I was speaking to Heather last week, I was saying maybe some of the people online, and we have almost 90 people online today, don't know the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children. So rather than jumping it directly into what the Solutions Summit series is about, and hopefully the video that we just saw gave you a bit of a taste of what the Solution Summit is about, I just want to take 5 minutes to explain to you what the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children is. In 2015, as we all know, leaders came together to agree on the Sustainable Development Goals, and it was a lot of lobbying, but actually one of the most easy ones was 16.2, which was to end violence against children, all forms of violence against children. And in 2016, a year later, very quickly, UNICEF decided to set up this global partnership to end violence and realized that they couldn't do this on their own. They needed to work with other UN agencies, with government, with civil society organizations. So very quickly, actually, the Global Partnership to End Violence was set up, and it has 3 pillars. So the first one is growing demand for change, which is really getting the word out there. We need to explain to the world that 1 billion children suffer from violence every year, that there are solutions that exist. And to do that, we need to organize events. We need to, I know it's something that colleagues from ISPCAN do on a daily basis, but it's a lot of advocacy work and bringing the message out there so that we actually get more requests for support. So that's the first pillar of work, which is a lot of advocacy and communications. The second pillar of work is mobilizing new resources. So we don't want to mobilize resources for the End Violence Secretariat, but we really want to increase resources for the field. I saw in the poll, and the results went a little bit quickly, but I saw that funding was very high up there. And so the Global Partnership, which is made up of partners and a secretariat, is working on an investment case to show the cost of inaction. So if we don't act to end violence, and how much does it cost to implement the Inspire strategies, and how much does it cost to prevent violence. So hopefully we're, by growing the demand for change and doing the advocacy and communications, by having a strong investment case, we will be able to mobilize resources for the field. And the third pillar of the global partnership, and that's the one I lead on, and I think maybe for you as practitioners, the one that's most interesting at this stage is equipping practitioners in order to accelerate action. We know that many countries do a lot of work, but it's, to be honest, quite a bit of a hodgepodge. So sometimes it's led by the Ministry of Health, sometimes it's led by the Ministry of Social Affairs, sometimes it's very focused on response and no prevention at all. Sometimes it's focused very much on girls and not on boys. And what we're really trying to do is to bring countries on board. And today we have 31 pathfinding countries, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And these are countries that are committing to multi-sectoral action, so to bringing together the different sectors, health, education, social services, and justice, in order to strengthen their coordination across these ministries, and then to implement evidence-based programs, so to scale up the evidence-based programs based on a national action plan. So these are our 3 pillars of work, and I'm just going to move ahead a little bit on the third pillar of work, which is equipping practitioners and accelerating action. I hope you all know Inspire, but you might not have heard of it. And that's why I just want to take 1 minute to explain to you what it is. But alongside the Global Partnership in 2016, the organizations that you see below mentioned also launched Inspire. So it's WHO, UNICEF, the World Bank, USAID, UNODC, Together for Girls. They came together and agreed on the 7 strategies that exist to end violence against children. While previously some professionals or organizations focus, for example, on response and support services, others on education and life skills, maybe one organization focuses only on norms and values. These organizations came together and agreed these are the 7 strategies. It doesn't matter if you work in 1 or 2 of them, but we need to be aware that these are the 7 strategies, and please continue to work in the 2 or 3 that you're specialized in. And then they collected the evidence according to these strategies. So real solid evidence on what helps to decrease the prevalence of violence against children in a country. And so the INSPIRE is an acronym for the 7 strategies. So we see implementation and enforcement of laws, changing norms and values, ensuring safe environments, strengthening parent and caregiver support, income and economic strengthening, response and support services, and education and life skills. You're professionals in this field. I don't need to explain this to you. I'm sure that you're very aware of these 7 strategies. What you might not be aware of is that within Inspire, there are 48 programs that really have solid evidence behind them to show for a decrease in prevalence of violence against children. So, for example, just in the implementation and enforcement of laws, you see the Swedish example of how the implementation of corporal punishment led to a almost 90% decrease of corporal punishment in Sweden. Safe environments, you see a program called Cure Violence, where interrupters work. It started in Chicago, but it's in about 45 countries now, where you have interrupters that manage to break the epidemic of violence within very, very dangerous communities that range from Chicago to dangerous neighborhoods in Honduras and El Salvador, even Syria, Central African Republic, and so on. And then for the parent and caregiver support, just to give you one more example, we have Parenting for Lifelong Health, which is a program that's now being rolled out in over 25 countries, which shows in 12 sessions how you can work with parents so that they engage differently with their children, and you see a decrease in violence in the household. So if you haven't seen it, go online, Google it, Inspire 7 Strategies to End Violence Against Children, and you will actually, it's not a long read, it's 50 pages, and you'll see some very solid programs that focus very much not on the response, but on the prevention of violence against children. So it's really this whole spectrum from the prevention to response services. Another important thing that I mentioned and that I hope you're aware of before we talk about the Solution Summit is this concept of pathfinding countries. So the Global Partnership in 2016 already had strong engagement from the very beginning from the governments of Sweden, Indonesia, Tanzania, and Mexico. And these countries said, you know, we're happy, we want to show the way. We think that we have strong political commitment and we want to show the world that we're taking this very seriously. Today, we have 31 pathfinding countries, so they range from Canada to Japan, France, Finland, Nigeria, South Africa, Honduras, El Salvador, Cambodia, Philippines, UAE. So high, middle, low income countries from east to west. And these are governments that do the following 6 things. The first thing they do is make show a strong engagement. So they write a letter to show that they're committed. So they're showing what they've already done in terms of ending violence against children and what they plan to do within the next 18 months. And they also have to make a public commitment in their own country. Secondly, they appoint a government focal person who will be coordinating the multi-stakeholder platform. Thirdly, they commit to strengthening their national data, and this can be through household services or using existing administrative data or bringing together administrative data. Fourthly, they develop a national action plan based on the national data. We know today that I think almost 80% of countries have a national action plan, but even just in Europe alone, which has 25 countries, there are 260 national action plans that talk about child maltreatment. So then there's something seriously wrong there. That means that most countries have 4, 5, 6, 8 action plans that talk about child maltreatment or violence against children, Most of them don't have targets, don't have baseline indicators, aren't budgeted, and aren't funded. So here we're moving along from making out an engagement, strengthening multi-sectoral action, collecting or bringing together the national data in order to inform the national action plan. And then the one in the poll that everyone clicked, interestingly, is implementation and scale up of these programs. So we feel very strongly in the partnership that once you have those 4 foundational elements in place, then you're ready to scale up. Using Inspire. And I don't mean using the programs in Inspire, but really using, making sure that programs that are being scaled up have evidence behind them for scale up, that they're being monitored closely, and that there's solid funding behind them to ensure that they're sustainable scale up plans. And then the last element is the monitoring and evaluation. We ask our pathfinding countries to actually monitor quite closely what they're doing in terms of their national action plan, in terms of their scale up programs. And then we have a dashboard so that we can track what countries are doing in terms of their national commitments and scale up of programs. I think I missed a slide. Oh, shoot, sorry, I jumped a bit too quickly. This is a slide on the global status report on preventing violence against children. So maybe just to take a step back, in 2016, we launched a global partnership. We launched Inspire. We launched this concept of pathfinding countries. So we feel that we have everything that's quite solid. The partnership, many agencies and countries working together. We have a technical tool, which is Inspire, and we have a great target, which is an SDG 16.2 to end all forms of violence by 2030. In July this year, the WHO, along with UNICEF and the Special Representative on Violence Against Children's Office, launched this report, which is the Global Status Report on Preventing Violence Against Children. This report shows country pages. So per country, from Finland to Nigeria to Belgium, Japan, how Inspire is being implemented in the country. So here on the side, you see one country page, but it shows what are the coordination mechanisms in place, what are the laws in place, what are some programs in terms of norms, and what is the reach of those programs. And then for safe environments, for parent and caregiver support, what is the reach of those programs. And it also shows what are some of the data collection initiatives underway in each of those countries. And the reason I'm showing you this status report is because it will be very important for the Solution Summit, which Andrew is going to talk about now. Again, we have the partnerships, so we have partners, we have these 31 countries, 32 actually, because Namibia is joining hopefully this week, but countries that have strong commitments. We have Inspire as a tool, and now we have this global status report, which is a good benchmarking for us to track what's going on in countries. But I'll just hand over to Andrew, who's leading on the Solution Summit, and then he will hand back to me so that I can discuss with you as professionals how we can support this work in country. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks so much, Sabine, and hello again, everyone. As we saw in the opening video, violence against children affects 1 billion children every year. It's a universal issue, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, affecting children in all countries and communities around the world. And despite the lifelong impact and the scale of violence, really and also the solutions that Sabine has talked through and the emerging evidence about what it takes to end violence against children, we believe that really that there is not the political attention for this issue. It's not high up on the international global agenda, and there's a lack of funding and political will to be able to really make a dent and step change in ending violence against children as we move towards the 2030 deadline of the Sustainable Development Goals. So we have been working over the last 6 months or so with our 500 partners to develop a global campaign and a Solution Summit series to inspire the End Violence Against Children community and catalyse the political and financial commitments needed to end violence against children by 2030. And when we talk about the financial commitments, these can come in the form of aid, they can come in the form of domestic budgets in countries right across the world as they start to prioritise ending violence against children. The overall objectives of this campaign and solution summit, and it is the second solution summit. The first one took place in Sweden back in 2018, is really to elevate ending violence against children as a global priority. We know that COVID-19 and the impacts of COVID-19 is having a very big impact on violence against children. We're seeing increased violence online, and also the impacts of lack of access to education and the support structures that are around that through isolation at home is exacerbating an already major issue for children. So what we want to do is to ensure that violence against children features prominently as governments and other international actors develop policies and plans and financing for a post-COVID world. Secondly, we do want to showcase cost-effective evidence-based solutions. It's really important that policymakers and practitioners understand and are aware of the evidence, and that we can work together to scale up what we know works, so that programs and policy can reach all children, and particularly the most vulnerable. And then finally, this Campaign and Solutions Summit series is about securing new political and funding commitments, which I talked to before. There really is, when you look at the need, a significant gap in what it's going to take to end violence against children. So I'll just talk a little bit now on the next slide about the policy calls. Again, one of this effort this campaign is about is to develop a small number of policy positions and calls that the international community can rally behind, that are the biggest, that can have the biggest impact if implemented by governments and civil society organisations. And again, these are very much lined up with the objectives of the campaign. For example, we're going to be looking at banning all forms of corporal punishment. We also know that violence is a multi-sectoral issue, and it undermines achievements in health and education. We do want to work with education ministers around the world to ensure that violence is embedded within policies and funding and budgets for the education sector, because we know that children just don't learn if their environment is not safe to learn. So we're looking at ways to work with different ministries in different areas. And then finally, inclusivity and collaboration. Sabine talked about the global status report, and it was very interesting to see that all countries in the world have national action plans. However, they're simply not being implemented and funded. We only think that 25% of those are funded, and I think it goes to one of the poll questions before. It's really about accountability and implementation, and the way that governments work with children, with civil society, with practitioners to implement the programs that will have an impact on children, and sustainable programs at that. The next slide, I think, looks at the arc of the Together to End Violence global campaign, and we're very much seeing this as a whole of partnership effort. We know that we have diverse capabilities, capacities across our partners that we're trying to bring together to draw upon those expertise and to deliver real change over the next 1 to 2 years. Yesterday, on Tuesday, we officially launched the Together to End Violence global campaign. Some of you may have attended that event. It was very well attended, and we had some really inspiring and powerful presentations from royalty, from senior ministers within governments, heads of UN agencies and civil society organisations, the private sector, and children as well. So really that launch was to mobilise partners to increase awareness and for the campaign and the work that needs to be taken in 2021. We're now in a phase where we're encouraging partner organisations to run affiliate events to build momentum and showcase the solutions. Part of those events is a series of government-led policy dialogues, where each pathfinding country will run a process to document learning and progress since becoming a pathfinding country, but importantly, articulate in a written statement that will be submitted to the Solution Summit series the political and financial commitments at ministerial level that need to take place to deliver on the 2030 agenda. We're encouraging partners to run events on different thematic priorities, whether that's keeping children safe online, safe to learn, different thematic areas such as addressing child marriage or child labour, child trafficking. It really is open, and we're here to support that process. We have developed a toolkit which you can find on our website, and it sort of articulates key messages, provides information on branding guidelines, draft agendas for events. There's a campaign brochure on there, even some guidance around policy dialogue, because we are developing the global frame for policy, but we are also encouraging national context-specific policy to be developed based on what is needed in a certain country. So that's the phase we're entering in now. And why this is important is that, one, firstly, we're attempting to increase the profile of this issue, the importance of this issue, and create some urgency. So that's certainly one aspect of it. But secondly, we're encouraging our partners to mobilise their supporters, their networks, to also help secure the all-important political and financial commitments that are needed at level, and for that to contribute to a global effort where we become greater than the sum of our parts. And then finally, towards the back end of 2021, we will be holding a high-level leaders event where we will be securing the political and financial commitments. Sabine, I think that could be it. I would just encourage everyone to have a look on our website. There are many ways to get involved. Affiliate events are certainly one of those. We're also asking for partner organisations to share content so that we can continue to amplify and profile the work and the change and the solutions, as well as nominating end violence against children champions, those people that are working tirelessly and have for decades, many years. We want to recognise and celebrate the important contribution that EVAC champions are making in so many places around the world. Sabine, are you going to pick up here, or?
Yeah. Maybe
okay.
just thank you, Andrew. You know, you're all health professionals or social service professionals, or even in the justice sector, and we really want to hear from you. And Andrew and Heather and I discussed that we really want to keep this short because we want to hear from you. What makes sense? We don't want this to seem like some kind of phantom, spacey campaign that's just on advocacy. We really want to make this real in countries and useful for people like yourselves so that we can advance your work. And so, as Andrew mentioned, we have some ideas of things that you could do at country level. And one of these is the national policy dialogues, where we're really pushing governments as real, they're accountable for this. They're the ones that should be leading on this, to organize these national policy dialogues with support from UNICEF and WHO to look at the data from the status report and to make a commitment of 750 words that they will then be presenting at the leaders event. So that's really the government part of things. But otherwise, we're hoping to work with you to organize affiliate events, like it can be a thematic workshop on parenting or parenting and income generation. It can be a training. We can also help you organize exchanges if you feel like there's, you're struggling with budgeting, or you're struggling with mandatory reporting. Can we find those 8, 10, 20, 50 people that would actually be struggling with the same thing, so that we can link you up so that you can work on these issues together. We hope that you can also secure senior leaders. Maybe you know people through your personal contacts or through your professional contacts, where you think, oh, this person would be great. Maybe we can get this person to speak at the Leaders Summit or at another event. We're really trying to connect dots within countries, at regional level, and then at international level. Social media campaigns. We're looking to collect case studies, human interest stories, basically anything that can make the case to the people that are not yet aware of this issue. We're 100 people today online. We're all preaching to the converted. We know this, but how can we get other people that are not interested in this topic or not understanding the impact it's having on the economies around the world and on children and throughout their lifetime. How can we make the case to them? So just to give you an idea, a few events that have already taken place. I know it was launched on Tuesday, the actual Solution Summit, but in November we already organized a few events which we immediately, which partners organized and which were put on our website. So for example, there was an open forum on technology and the risks of risks for safety for children online. There was an event online in Geneva around the role of the health sector with WHO and hosted by the governments of Sweden and Colombia on what the health sector can do. There was an event on joint actions around COVID-19. There was one around in Latin America. It was the launch of the regional report on the global status report, but then at the regional level for Latin America. And then we had a European event with 9 European countries to discuss the impact COVID is having on violence against children. As Andrew said, if you look on the website, you'll see you can submit your idea on the website, and then once it's been approved, then we put it on our website, and that we hope that other people will join. It's almost a blessing in disguise. It's made for a more democratic world where people can join events on issues that they probably wouldn't have been otherwise because they were either traveling to the country, but now we can have more people joining these events. So we really encourage you to submit events and to have people join them and to join other events. So just the last thing that we offer, we have a whole bunch of things, as Andrew mentioned, on offer for you. So we have a brochure of the End Violence Solution Summit series. We have solid documents on key messages that you can use, including statistics. We have information on the national, a concept note on the national policy dialogues that are being organized, and then some more, I would say, logistical tips and resources about Zoom guidance, child safety protocols, safeguarding protocols, branding, if you're interested in branding it alongside the Solution Summit, sample agendas, and most importantly, the door is open. Just write to us, ask us, we want to do this, or what do you think of this? And then we can say, we can be involved, or actually maybe you can do it with this and this partner. We're here to connect the dots. And then as you see at the top tab, so there's the hosting, and then there's the sharing the information, there's the resources, and then we really hope that you can report back on the events, because we really do want to create this movement where all these events are part of the Solution Summit series. So I think Heather will take over the facilitation now, but please tell us, do you have any ideas, and how can Andrew and I support you to implement some of your most crazy ideas? Over to you, Heather.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll just leave that slide up if that's okay. So we do have a few questions coming in. Thank you, Sabine and Andrew, for sharing this information. Let's see, this attendee, I'm not sure where she's from, is asking if partners indicate thematic areas, could End Violence collect these and put like-minded themes together, especially in the same region?
Absolutely. Maybe something that I could have mentioned is that we also have the Inspire working group. So that's a group of about 500 members, and they are constantly thinking of new ways on how to share evidence-based programs, scale up evidence-based programs. We're developing a MOOC, a massive open online course, for example, now on Inspire, but they're also organizing an Inspire series. So on each letter of Inspire, there will be a webinar happening over the next 7 months. So if it's around one of the letters of Inspire, then we can fit you in to that. If it's around something else, then please do send us a concept note with ideas, and then we can see how we can support that.
Yeah, I'd just add to that, Sabine, that a big part of our role is to support partners and partner organisations by connecting people from different countries, contexts, linking people to high-level speakers, to the latest research and evidence. We have a knowledge platform on our website, and content, so that, as Sabine was saying, we're joining up the dots and trying to add value by connecting a range of partners with either like-minded or complementary organisations to deliver different affiliate events. So we're here as a resource for that.
Great, thank you. This person is asking if you have involved young people in any way as part of this movement.
Absolutely. Our key partners really in this whole effort are children themselves. Yesterday at the launch, we heard from Zara from Indonesia and Sarafina from Ghana, who actually opened up the launch event and set a grand challenge to the international community, and asking for governments and other leaders globally and nationally to respond to that. We also had a video that we can share with you afterwards of children and young people talking about the impacts of violence and what they're doing as agents of change and activists and advocates in their own country. A number of the children spoke really powerfully about saving and rescuing people from their friends from child marriage through youth clubs, through sporting events. And one thing that was really powerful, actually, it's on one of the videos, Lydia from Kenya. She powerfully said, you know, and she was speaking from outside of her school as she was about to enter her final year exams, but really set the challenge saying, if I am ending violence against children, what are you doing? And what can you do? So really asking that question, that everyone has a role to play in ending violence against children, and asking people to consider what are you best suited to make, where to make that contribution. So yeah, they're very important. There's a host of child-led opinions and research, some of it on our website as well, because we know that children, as really the key stakeholders here, we have to listen to their voices, their innovative ideas, and they help shape policy and programs.
Okay, great. Thank you. We've got a couple questions about specific events, but let me start with some of the more broad questions. This person is a pediatrician out of Texas, and he's asking, for a country as large as the US, if getting state legislatures, governors to support this would be a stepping stone to a national policy. I don't know if you can speak to that.
I think that's a really good point. Probably the closest country politically to the US is Switzerland, where you have 27 cantons that decide everything on their own. And what I've seen very interesting here in Switzerland, where I live, is that they've managed actually they have a strong cantonal, so it would be state level policies. But the first thing that we're pushing for is not so much a national action plan, which in Switzerland is pretty much impossible to get anything at federal level, but already having them coordinate and learn from each other between the different states, it would be a huge step. So I think sometimes we're pushing against the door, which is the wrong one, and having a big national action plan is just so tiresome to get to, and maybe there's other ways to have more impact and more solid change, which would be creating networks of professionals working together across states. But we would be happy to support you and see how we can continue to support the US national movement.
Yeah, and
especially with the incoming president. Yeah, sorry.
But no, sorry, Sabine. I was just going to talk really quickly about pathfinding cities, because we know that change has to happen at the local level. And so in many countries, it's the mayors and it's the local councils that have really stepped up and are driving specific action as part of becoming pathfinding cities in a number of countries, Brazil, Indonesia, I believe, and a couple others. So it really can start at the local level where the change needs to happen.
Okay, and related to that, pathfinding countries, this attendee is from Mexico. She's asking if you have information somewhere that summarizes the status of Inspire implementation by country.
That's a really good question. I wish I could say an easy yes, but I can't. What we do have, I can tell you what we do have. On our website, you can see what their Mexican political commitments have been, their national action plan, and the progress. That they tell us. So it is what it is. We triangulate information with the UN agencies and civil society, but that's on the political, I would say, the pathfinding process. So that's one thing we have. And the other thing we have is the global status report, which has one page on Mexico specifically. And now there's a regional status report for Latin America, which I can share with you as well following the meeting, which shows how Mexico is progressing in terms of implementation of Inspire. But to be honest, for a professional like you or like myself, it's a little bit superficial. You would really want more information, in which state, is parenting actually being scaled up properly, or how much income generation programs exist, how many income generation programs exist, and where are they in Mexico. So it stays a little bit superficial. It's also government self-reported, but we're moving the needle in terms of getting pictures of what's going on in the different countries. So basically, the End Violence website Mexico page, the global status report, and then the regional status report for ending violence against children.
Okay, great. Thank you. This person is, she's from England, and she's asking about your outreach to parents and practitioners. She's saying, are you planning to host any kind of free online webinars or courses for parents and practitioners on recognizing all types of violence? And she gives an example. For example, witnessing aggression between parents is also violence toward children. Or do you have an evidence base of interventions for parents?
Andrew, maybe I'll take that and then you can add to it. There's a lot of evidence on parenting programs. And in fact, since COVID and confinement in March, many agencies came together, WHO, UNICEF. I would say there was about 25 organizations, big organizations that came together to develop very simple tips for parents on how to structure the day for children, how to deal with challenging behavior, how to listen to your child, how to talk to your child about COVID, how to deal with screen time. And these are all based on evidence-based programs that have existed over the years. So parenting is very high up on our list of priorities. Now that governments are playing less of a role because they just can't access children, schools are playing a bit less of a role because they're overburdened with managing curricula for children. We see that the role of parents is more important than ever. Are we going to organize something directly for parents? I don't think so. As Andrew said, we are counting on our partners to organize things. We can give you some background information if you have any questions on what are the global parenting initiatives or a parenting initiative in your country. We can support you with that. But then we really do count on the partners themselves to pull off events within their own country. I hope that answers the question. Maybe Andrew, you want to add something?
No, I think that answered it well, Sabine. Nothing to add.
Okay. Let me ask a few more specific questions about, actually holding these events. This person is asking, if a member wants to organize an event, is there a regional or country level distribution list that is accessible of the major child abuse and neglect partners?
That's a good question. It's we have a database of about, the End Violence database of about 5,000 people that are all interested. They're practitioners, and of course we can sort them by type of organization, by country. So obviously we wouldn't be able to give you access to a database, but what we can do, if you're, let's say, saying, I'm organizing an event in Namibia or in France or in Guatemala, then we can reach out to those partners and say, this event is happening. Please make sure that you're engaged as much as possible, and then we can amplify the message of the event that you're organizing before and after.
Okay, kind of similar question here. Let's see. What child abuse and neglect resources are available now that we can share at these events that are best practices or related to Inspire? Yeah, I guess, do you offer resources to share at these events?
You know what, we have a knowledge hub. So since about 4 months, we've pulled together a knowledge hub. Many knowledge hub exist. The UNICEF has loads of resources on their website. Save the Children has a child protection resource hub, which is full of resources, and you can just Google in the word that you need. Is it about mandatory reporting, or is it about online violence, or child sexual abuse? And then you can find the resources. What we have in our knowledge hub is we present the different knowledge hubs and and what they're doing, and then we feature evidence-based programs as they come up. I think every 2 or 3 weeks we feature a new evidence-based program. So I would say go to our knowledge hub, see if there's other knowledge hubs that would maybe be more targeted at exactly what you're looking for. And then on our feature stories, you might get inspired by stories or things happening in other countries. And then, as Andrew said, we can put you in touch with partners around the world as you're interested.
Yeah, just one other thing on that. Really, as an opportunity on our website to to sign up to our monthly newsletter. And through this, you're kept up to date on all the latest events, the latest policies that are coming out from various countries, new information on different thematics, and of course, regular updates on the knowledge platform that Sabine was just talking about. So I just encourage you to sign up to that monthly newsletter to stay abreast of everything. And I think that stimulates not only ideas, but also opportunities that we can then support by connecting you with different partners and organizations in various countries.
Okay, great. This is just a quick question asking if there is an expected timeline for holding these events.
Yes, thanks, Heather. So that we're hoping that these affiliate events would take place between January and July 2021. So there's really a 6-month window. And then the reason why is we do want to continue with the momentum following the launch event. But we also want to make sure that the outcomes that from these affiliate events are able to be input and as key inputs into the leaders event that we hold towards the end of 2021. So that 6-month period is what we're aiming for.
Okay. Okay, great. And sorry, you may have addressed this, but this person is asking if there are trainings or workshops on various topics that End Violence can do live or provide for partners.
So if we get, the Inspire Working Group will be organizing these 7 big webinars. If there are other requests, and we feel that there's many requests coming in, let's say on mandatory reporting or budgeting or something very specific, then we're happy to consider organizing one ourselves. Again, we feel that we're often not best placed to organize it, because otherwise we would have to organize so many, and often you have strong professionals that are able to organize it themselves and get the right speakers, but we're happy to support you or come as speakers or organize it if you really don't have the bandwidth or the resources to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, just an example of that. UNICEF's research called Innocenti, based in Florence, will be holding 2 affiliate events, really bringing together the academic and research community to present the latest evidence and data when it comes to ending violence against children. So there's opportunities, of course, to lead and co-lead events, but there's also opportunities to attend events that will be run by different organizations around the world.
Okay. And you may have mentioned this person from South Africa is asking, is there any support as far as accessing funding for national campaigns in different places? Do you provide any support, or I don't know?
Andrew, do you want to answer?
Yeah, sure. No, we don't necessarily provide funding to participate in campaigns. I think there's been a very small number of minor grants that have gone out, but I think they're limited to 3 or 4 countries. So very much we're relying on partners in country to be able to facilitate these events. And sort of one of the things we're trying to get towards is that organizations realize the strong connection between this global campaign and their own strategic objectives at national and organizational level, so that they are investing in things that they were going to, the organization was going to do anyway to move their agenda and their organization forward. And as part of that, be part of something bigger at the global scale. So we're trying to find those places where or we can co-brand and bring events or initiatives that are part of 1 or 3 year strategies, and to sort of build on those and connect that and strengthen those events. So no specific funding for this in the short.
Okay. This is kind of a 2-part question from an attendee from Kazakhstan. She's asking, and then this maybe is for everyone, do you have partners from my country? So again, connecting people with partners within their countries. And then also she asks, do you organize trainings for trainers about implementation of this program?
I'll maybe jump in from what I know. I'm pretty sure there are members from Kazakhstan on the End Violence membership, but maybe you can write to us, and my email's there, and then I can see if I can find get you a response on who those members are in Kazakhstan. In terms of training, I think we have to separate two things. One is the Together to End Violence Solutions Summit series, and that's really about the first column, the first pillar that I was talking about in the beginning, which is really about building the movement and getting people to talk about ending violence against children, understanding the numbers, understanding what you as professionals do. That's one thing. The other question about training of trainers, that's maybe linked to the third pillar of work, which is supporting professionals to do their work and to accelerate action. And for that, there are a number of initiatives underway. For example, in the Inspire Working Group, we're developing this massive open online course, and then we're hoping to develop a training of trainers, as you're suggesting, around Inspire. But that will probably not be before 2022, because we'd like to have the MOOC ready first, and also because we think it'll be highly unlikely to be able to meet in person in the next year even, or maybe at least in the next 6 months. But definitely, again, if it's something that you're willing to support or to be engaged, and then reach out to us, and I'm happy to keep you on one of the two mailing lists.
And there is a list of all of our partners on the website with a short overview of who they are and what their priorities are as well. So that may be a helpful starting point.
Okay, great. And I think we have time for just one more question. You may have addressed this partially before. This person from Sweden is asking, are Pathfinder countries reporting to the movement periodically, and is there any benchmarking built in to the End Violence movement?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We're very careful. We're not the CRC secretary, the Committee of the Rights of the Child. They don't have any accountability to us or legal rights to us, which we don't want either. We're not a big brother is watching you. We're nudging them, we're encouraging them, supporting them. So we didn't have a benchmarking tool at all. And now, since this year, we've agreed that it would be good actually just to follow the pathfinding process. So do you have a national action plan in place? Is your multi-sectoral coordination group functioning? How are you working on implementation and scale up of Inspire? Looking at the global status report. So they don't have to report into us. They do it because they also want to show the successes in their country. And so what we have in terms of benchmarking is what we have on our website, and you can look on the website on the page of Sweden, and what's in the global status report. Those are the two public-facing documents that we have on in terms of benchmarking. And that's where we go by, and we're happy to continue encouraging them forward.
Okay. Great, thank you. That's about it for questions. Sabine or Andrew, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
My final thought would be, please reach out to us. We want to organize affiliate events. We want you to organize affiliate events. We can, amplify your messages, amplify your events. Don't be shy. Don't think we're a big UN bureaucracy that if you send an email, you won't get a response. You actually will get a response. And we really look forward. ISPCAN is so essential, and you as professionals are so essential to make this matter, because you know what you're talking about very well. And so, no ideas too crazy. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, and then we look forward to working with you over 2021. And we wish you a very happy holiday season.
Thank you so much. Andrew, do you have anything?
Very briefly, just to thank you very much for your time. We, as part of this movement and this campaign, we know that we need to reach new audiences, and ISPCAN and each of you is a really unique and important stakeholder in ending violence against children, and we just want to create as many opportunities as possible to support your work, to profile and amplify your work as part of the way that this issue is being elevated globally. So that we go through with the political commitments, the financial commitments to see these national action plans implemented, and to support certainly the people that are working at community levels, practitioners and so forth. So thanks again, and we very much hope to collaborate with you in the first half of 2021.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you again, Sabine and Andrew, for being with us today and sharing all this information. And thank you to everyone in the audience for your questions. And if you did have a question that we didn't get to, or you think of something, please reach out to Sabine at the email here, or you can contact us at resources@ispcan.org, and we will get you connected and get your question answered as best we can. So I would just like to wrap up today with a couple of slides and some information about ISPCAN and our membership. One moment. Okay, so we would like to encourage you to become a member of ISPCAN if you're not already, so that we can continue having webinars like these in the future. Our member benefits include free and discounted virtual trainings and conferences, a subscription to our monthly peer-reviewed research journal, access to publications and reports, our webinar archive, training materials and curricula, and other educational resources, as well as access to ISPCAN's child abuse screening tools. We offer several membership levels starting at $35 a year for our associate membership and $50 a year for our student membership. We also invite you to visit ISPCAN's COVID-19 resources page for a variety of resources that are free for professionals, parents, and children. And members also have access to our COVID-19 webinar series. So to learn more about ISPCAN, please visit us at ispcan.org. A recording and the slides from today's webinar will be posted on our website shortly. And again, if you have any questions or comments about today's webinar or upcoming webinars, please reach out at resources@ispcan.org. Thank you all again for joining us today. Please stay safe and healthy and have a great day or night, depending on where you are. Thank you, Sabine. Thank you, Andrew. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.